it's like you're choosing the costume that you're gonna want to wear in 6 months. And I guess that's how wedding dresses work, maybe. But I was like, how am I supposed to choose what I like now for what I may or may not like in 6 months? Like, I change my mind sometimes, you know? Guys, guys! Oh my gosh. I'm going to Trinidad Carnival 2020 and I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. That is not how the song goes, but you know what I'm singing. Right. So yeah, as I said, I'm really excited. This is gonna be my first carnival ever. Jamaica, you know I love you, but it's carnival and it's Trinidad and it's Trinidad Carnival, so I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm really excited to be going to Trinidad Carnival 2020. It's gonna be in about 6 months, right? This is October, November, December, January, February. Yeah, 6 months. And so this is the first in a series of videos detailing my experience from a first timer's perspective, talking about things that I had to do to prepare. So for example, what's going on this summer, and as I go along, update you with more videos. So far, what have I done? So far, I've gotten my carnival costume reserved, I have booked my flight, and I've reserved the hotel. So stay tuned for more information later about the process of doing all those things. Yeah. So before I go into details about my flight selection, costume selection, and hotel and stuff like that, I did want to kind of give a brief overview of like carnival and some details about things that I'll mention in the video so that you kind of like have a sense of what I mean by when I say certain things. So first of all, a lot of different countries will have their own carnival, and a lot of them like differ in terms of like the style and what the experience will be like. A lot of Caribbean islands have carnival. Trinidad has, obviously, Jamaica has, Antigua, Guyana, St. Lucia, and a lot of different countries. So, and I don't think that any of the Caribbean carnivals overlap. So if you become a carnival junkie, or if maybe I'll become a carnival junkie after Trinidad Carnival next year, you can go carnival hopping if you want, if you have the money. um, and so each experience is different. Some carnivals are more expensive than others. For example, I know that Trinidad Carnival is definitely more expensive than Jamaica Carnival, but also Trinidad Carnival is 2 days. Jamaica Carnival is only one, and like Trinidad Carnival is just like more well known and stuff like that, and more established. And so usually in terms of Trinidad Carnival, it's usually the Monday and Tuesday before Ash Wednesday. And as I said, it's 2 days of basically partying on the road. It's like a cultural thing, I've been told, so I'm looking forward to that cultural experience where I get to like, it's like you have a competition, which band has the best costume, or you go, like there's a part of the festivities where you're all like kind of just like showing out your costume and your bands, and you know, just like, it's kind of like a nice little fashion show, but I guess not really, because it's like a bunch of people on the road. Like, yeah, so it's like a competition to like see which ones are the best. There, even before the carnival days, there's like a steel pan competition, which I'm looking forward to going to, and stuff like that. So it's a very important part of the year for them, and which I guess adds to the excitement for me, just because it's so important that I feel like, I don't know, it's like you're just gonna be there, you're gonna like feel that energy. Oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to that. And then what else do I need to talk about? Yeah, so as I said, Carnival is the Monday and Tuesday before Ash Wednesday. Its history started out from slavery days, and it became kind of like a representation of freedom and defiance. And if you want more information about that, I'll actually put a link in the description with more details about the history of Carnival in Trinidad. So go read that and learn some more, because, you know, learn new things every day. And so Monday of Carnival is usually, it starts out with Juve, which is kind of like a mud, oil, paint kind of festival party type thing. Starts at really early in the morning, I think probably like 2 a.m. in the morning, Monday morning. And then you have, after Juve, there's like a Monday, like where you're the rest during the morning slash afternoon, you're like on the road partying. And then Tuesday is like the main day. That's where you wear the costume that you actually bought, like the major costume that you signed up to wear with different bands. And there's also like a competition where like people in the same band will go and walk on the stage and show what their costumes look like for the year and stuff like that. And then I mentioned band. A band is kind of like a company. The company offers the carnival experience. They're the ones that will have the different costume offered, and each band will divide their costumes into different sections. So people in the same section will be wearing costumes that are similar. And for each section, most bands divide those costumes into frontline and backline costumes. And what that basically means is that frontline costumes are usually more expensive. They will have more feathers, more gems, sparkles, and stuff like that. More elaborate, kind of. And they might also be more revealing in terms of like how much of your skin they show. And then backline tends to be more conservative for some bands. Not always, but for some bands it's more conservative. And obviously less expensive and include less things. And so if you want to, like, for example, have a collar, you might have to pay for like some more money to get feathers and stuff like that. Okay. So what have I done so far? So the first thing I actually got done was getting a hotel. So bands started launching in July, at least the ones that my friends and I were interested in, started launching in July. And when bands started launching, my friends and I were like, okay, we need to find a place to stay. And we were looking all over the place, looking on the websites, looking on hotel websites, on Airbnb and stuff like that. And we couldn't find anywhere that was in like a decent location, like close enough to the activities. Everywhere was like, I was finding places in like on Airbnb. It was like showing the nearest place in Tobago at one point. I was like Tobago's a whole other island, people, whole other island. But yeah, so like we were like in a frenzy because it was like, okay, where we're gonna stay? There's like all the places are booked up. All the places in our price range is particularly were booked up. Most of the hotels were actually like the major hotels were actually fully booked when I first looked. And I guess I checked the next day and they had some availability, but the prices had been jacked up. Gosh, I looked at those prices and I was like, no, it not happen. And then my friend was like constantly looking at Airbnb. I also looked on Airbnb just because. And yeah, we couldn't find anything. And then after a few days, my friend actually, after checking every day, she actually came and was like, yeah, I found this place. It's right in the area, and then the price was like also good relatively compared to like everything else. And so we're like, okay, let's book it. And then had like a 2-day cancellation, no fee. For like you could cancel within 2 days of booking. So we're like, okay, if anything, we'll just book it and cancel it, and then other person book it. Was our plan, just to buy us some time to find other things. And then eventually, after reading a lot of blogs and stuff, that were like all like, but if you don't book it by June, it's already too late. And this was reading these in July, so it was like. But eventually I was able to find one that listed a couple hotels that were common places to stay. And after like emailing back and forth, emailing different ones to say, do you have space for these dates? Do you have space for these? I was able to finally get a response from one of them that came back and was like, yeah, and we have this specific carnival package for these specific dates, this flat fee. And so we were able to choose that one because it compared better, and it was also like a hotel versus an Airbnb, which meant it came with breakfast and stuff like that. Yeah, so that was like the hotel finding process. It was like it was very stressful in like the thought that you have to be booking, the idea that you have to be booking a hotel more than 6 months before you actually go stay there is crazy. But Trinidad is a small island, and also a lot of people are going there. It is like one of the most well known carnivals in the world. So it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's crazy. So if you are planning to go to Carnival next year, make sure you mark your calendar. Not next year, like the following year, because I mean, you can still find places now, but the following year, if you're going to Carnival 2020, make sure you mark your calendar, because mark it for like April, May, because shit was crazy. As if I hadn't said that enough. Okay, so after handling hotel stuff, next up were flights and costume selection. So I'll talk about flights first. So right after bands launched and we booked the hotel, then we were like, okay, let's look at flight prices and see how they are. And they were surprisingly good for the season that we were booking for. I used Google Flights to do my initial search, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, this looks like a regular price for like any other flight season. Like it never looked like it was for like Carnival. Like that's how good the prices were. And I mean, this wasn't true for all the airlines, but I was able to find at least one airline that I was like, okay, this is an airline that I would be comfortable using, that has a decent reputation, because honestly, I've had enough bad airline experiences. Like, unless I was desperate, unless the prices were all like a grand, and this was the only airline that was like $500, maybe then I'd use it because it's just like a 5 hour flight. But at the same time, yeah, so like I was able to find one airline that was decent, had good reputation, that I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's look at this one for dates that I was interested in. And then this airline also offered the option to put flights on hold for a day for free or up to 7 days for a fee. So I was like, okay, I see this option. I'm going to use it. And so my plan was to basically go in every day and put these flights on hold that I was interested in until I was finally ready to pay for it. And one factor was that I just started a new job and I didn't want to ask for vacation like right after starting a new job. So I was kind of like, okay, I don't want to be like, you just hired me, can I take vacation these days? So I like for one, I hadn't gotten approval for my vacation days yet. Two, I didn't really know which dates I wanted to go yet, because there it was like, I know you need to be there for these two exact dates, but at the same time I kind of want to go to some of the fetes and go experience like get kind of the full experience. And fetes, for those who don't know, are parties. And there are other events as well, like for example the Thursday before there's going to be like a steel pan competition. Like I want to go and experience that. Like who, like, yeah. So like the dates that I want to go were uncertain, and so I also couldn't like go and book flights if I don't know when I want to fly. And another thing was, yeah, so the main thing was that the dates were uncertain. So basically, as I said, I was going in every day and going in and like booking flights, and it pretty much worked. I think the flight prices really only increased once, like from what I originally saw. Well, they increased twice, but the comparison, it was like one jump that I paid extra for. And so it was like I have to do like, first of all, it wasn't an exact science. Like I'd go in every day, but some days I'd miss it because sometimes I was out with friends. This was when I was like home in Jamaica, like so I was like hanging out with friends sometimes during the day as well. So like sometimes I'd actually miss that 24-hour mark, and I think it only, as I said, it only really went up once, and it went up by like $40. So they think that would have made me go and buy the ticket at that point, but no, it did not. I just kept like going in, and I was also like putting like 4 flights in at one time. So it was like booking like reserving like 4 different flight options every single day. It was a mess. And then one day, I think about 2 weeks ago, I like go in, and like one day I go in and the prices are still pretty much the same. The next day I go in, it's like the prices are tripled. And I just like got on my phone and I was like, guys, friends, like the prices have gone up. And funny enough, that made my other friend who was booking her flights go and reserve her ticket, but it didn't make me go and reserve my ticket. I don't know why. I know partial reason why. I hadn't gone yet and asked my boss if I could take the days off yet. So that was a part of it, and I still hadn't decided yet when I wanted to go. I have a problem. I really need to stop this. And so eventually, basically after I asked my boss if those days were fine, and after much deliberation with my friends about when would be a good time to go, I decided to go for a week and a half, and I finally decided on the dates I want to go, and I booked my ticket. It took me like a month to like go in and book my ticket. A month. This shouldn't be so long. It might have been over a month actually. But yeah, so that was the flight selection process. A mess. I am a mess. I'm sorry. Up next was carnival costume. The most important thing. For me at least. But the most important thing. So again, bands launch on July 20th. And here's the thing that annoyed me about this. Like, if your bands launch, I feel like you should go on, like, your website should get updated within a week. Like, what's the point of the launch if you're not going to launch? And so I was kind of annoyed about this because, like, some bands basically made you wait for, like, a month for them to actually release, like, the prices and carnival options. As I said, like, bands will divide their costumes into, like, frontline and backline, and these come with different prices. But you also, when bands launch, they really only show you the frontline. They show you the best look. And so you really only get like the front line with a big backpack. You don't get to see what the small feather back collar looks like, and you don't really get to see what the back line looks like. So that was like, you can't really choose what you want without knowing the prices, unless you're flossing like that, or like seeing the different options that are available. And at least for me, as a new timer, I didn't really have like a loyalty or connection with any particular band. So I was also like, it depends on what the costumes look like, what the prices look like, and also trying to find something that both my friends and I liked, which was a source of stress because we turned out to like different things. And so for one, you don't really want to jump with a band that your friend isn't jumping with, because then you can't really be on the road Monday and Tuesday together, because you have to be with your different band. You can jump different costumes within that band and be able to party together, but you can't like jump different bands, because the different bands will march together, but also different bands have different routes to get to the end location. And then so we're just waiting. At one point I was just like, these bands just taking us for an idiot, because they just have us waiting. But website coming soon. Soon, what does soon mean? But anyways, yeah, so we get to like waiting. Bands finally start releasing the different options, which is also another part of the problem, because different bands were releasing things at different time, and which meant that it was like, okay, so I see what I like on this website, on this band thing, but then I kind of have to wait to see what the other ones have and what the other ones look like before I decide. I'm also, as you can probably tell, like, committing to one thing is hard for me. Okay. So I was like, how do I choose the costume that I will like in 6 months? Like, I feel like my taste changes. Like, right? That makes sense, don't? Right? Your taste don't change. But yeah, I was like, okay, so I have to look at all of these things and decide what I want to wear in 6 months. 1. 2, like, how can I be comparing things if one place commit and the other one don't, and I'm trying to figure out how to not to wait so that one doesn't run out, but be able to still know if I want another one that hasn't shown me what they have to offer yet. So it was like this waiting game, and it was annoying. But at the same time, it was just like, you know what, you just have to wait. But I was basically just like going on all of these bands' websites every day. Like every day, I'd like, sometimes I actually woke up and like it was that first thing I did. Like it was that bad. But as I said, I was excited. And if you're excited and you really want to do something, like it comes out in different ways. And so yeah, it was just waiting for them to post the darn things so I could choose what I wanted to do. And so once they finally did posted the things, I was like talking with it had like you had to be talking with your friends to be like, okay, which one do you like? Which one I like these ones, like do you like any in the same band so that we can jump together? And so the favorite costume that I actually ended up with, my friend didn't actually like any of the other costumes that they had to offer, so it was like so we had to like find a compromise to find a band that we both had a costume that we liked. And because of that we ended up um waiting too long, and at one point the costumes were just like wildfire. That makes sense. Just going, and we were just like on it came to the night we were just like on the phone like, costumes are selling out. Like, what do you want to wear? I like these ones. You like these ones, but other ones that you like are starting to sell out. Blah 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 blah. And it was like a three-way call because my friend was not like was on the phone with her cousin to give advice as well. And then we started looking at bands that we previously just weren't considering. And it was just like a thing of about like what age group people jump with this band, blah 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 blah. My friend's cousin was like, young people, man, young people. And I like started reading reviews of this band, and it was like they were like 32-year-olds to 50-year-olds. We were like, young people. No offense to anybody, but I'm like in my 20s. So it was like a really stressful, like probably like 3 or 4 hours on the phone. Well, we weren't on the phone for that long, but 3 or 4 hours like trying to figure out which costume to book. And the other thing is, you can't really just go on the band's website and just go and register for a costume. All the ones that we are looking at, you basically have to. They'll post a list of people you can contact, and they literally just post like government names, which is like you just have to like go and search them on Facebook or something, and try to find them. Some bands offer the option to like fill out a form, but at the same time you can't, like, they don't really respond right away, so you still have to like be proactive and allow enough time so that you can go and fill out this form and get the registration link from them. Fortunately for me, there was one person who had been really vocal on Twitter that was like, hey, I'm one of the committee members for the band that you're gonna, for Bliss, which is the band that I'm actually gonna play mass with. And so I'd already been in contact with him from like weeks before, being like, hey, if I'm interested in jumping with this band, here's a costume that I'm interested in. And so when we finally decided on a costume, I was able to reach out to him again and be like, hey, I'm interested in this. And he responds really quickly, fortunately. So we were able to get it all done in that night. He also was able to like tell me which costumes had already started to sell out, because this Bliss hadn't been updating their website with the costumes that were selling out. So yeah, it wasn't like completely transparent. So he was like, okay, these ones have sold out and stuff like that. So yeah, that was the stress of choosing a costume. Like, if word of advice, like, get on it. So like with everything else I've talked about, like flights, hotel, well, flights not so much, but hotel and costume, you have to be on top of your game. Like, book your hotel early. Like, when you see costumes start coming out, well, I mean, this is something that my friends and I actually did. When costumes started coming out, we talked about the ones that we liked. But at the same time, things change depending on what the different options are and the prices. And like what you see at band launch is kind of like the best look that they want to present. At the same time, so you have to like bear that in mind when you're trying to choose the costume, because yeah, you want to look your best as well. And yeah, so once they start to release the options and the prices, get on a phone call, get on a Skype call, get on a FaceTime or something, and like get it done. Because I think that one thing that my friend and I didn't do, we were like just casually like in the group chat being like, yeah, I like this one, yeah, I like this one, blah blah blah. But we weren't like really on it in terms of like, okay, let's go and register for this. So that was where I think where we got stressed. And I think it was just also because it was our first time, we didn't really like know how much to get it on it. Like, so yeah. Don't be like us. So we've come to the end of my first video in this series of Julie Meets Carnival, aka Julene loses her carnival virginity, aka Julene plays mass, aka whatever. So what have I done to recap? So I got my hotel, check. I've got my flight, check. I've got my costume, the most important thing, check. Yay! And so I feel like I've done like three out of four of the major things that need to be done for preparing for Carnival. The fourth being getting fete tickets. And I've been reading, and it says that those typically come out in like October. So hopefully that won't be as stressful as getting costumes. But I've also read that like for one of the fetes, tickets sold out in like 7 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, stay tuned. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out. And also follow me on Instagram at Julian Meets World. Channel name, really simple. And yeah, I'll see you soon.